Hello everybody, we are at the last race of the 2023 MCC ProAm karting season. This is the infamous Kartoween. We're heading out for the final of the LO206 Masters class. My previous video was of the practice in the pre-final. I finished 8th in the pre-final. We had about 25 people racing in this class. Not every single person raced in the pre-final. Some didn't want to mess around with the rainy conditions. So I'd say we probably started about 16 people in that race. And I finished 8th, so I'm starting in the 4th row. Probably got about 8 rows behind me because everybody came out for the final. The track had dried up a little bit. We had a heat right before us. It ran slicks, kind of showed, they led the way for us. We all flipped on and put our slicks on. Took the wets off, put the slicks on, and off we go. There was no rain coming down right now. They had dried out a pretty decent groove in the track out here. As you can see, obviously there's sections that are still damp, wet. There's a puddle here and there. For the most part, it's pretty doable in the slicks. My buddy Tom, I used his footage in my previous video. He's 2 rows behind me. I'm going to use a little bit of his video in this as well, but it's going to be mainly around the start. So the guy right in front of me, he ended up being the MCC ProAm karting LO206 Masters track champion. We have a couple other fellas, a few from MCC. The guy right next to me, Joey, he races out at OVKA a lot, and he races at MCC a lot. Todd's up there, I think he's in P2. He races out at Newcastle a lot. But we're getting waved around for a restart. Not totally sure. I guess we were just coming down a little too hot right there. I don't know why we got waved around, but I didn't really care. It gave me one more lap to get my tires warmed up, get the pressures up, and hopefully have a little better traction, a little more security coming down at the start of the race. Again, it rained on and off. We were hoping. I was really hoping for it to be a nice day. As you can see, the trees all look beautiful in the background, some sun. It would have been pretty picturesque. It was still fun. I actually really enjoyed the race when it was really wet out there on the slicks. I had a good time doing that. It was my first time doing it. And, like I said, I thought my kart did pretty well in it. I just wish my brakes would have worked at the time. At this stage, I do have my brakes squared away. I'm able to brake, so I'm feeling pretty confident because I did okay without brakes in the race before, so I was really looking forward to being more aggressive on this race. So we're going to come around. We are going to get going this attempt at the start. I know I saw a thread on the Kart Pulse forums where they're talking about the automated lighting systems for a track, so I may post this video up on Kart Pulse so that people can look at this, because obviously MCC has the automated lights. You can see the yellow light blinking here and there around the track. They're pretty strategically located. It's not too tough to stay up on what's going on with the track. As you pass underneath the start-finish, there's usually information up there telling you how much time is left in the race, because some of them are timed, and then it'll give you a countdown on the last few laps. Usually you'll see a white flag and a checkered flag. And it'll also turn green as we come down here. So again, as you can see, I don't have too many guys in front of me. I'm hoping, I don't want anybody to crash, but I'm hoping I get, a good advantage. Maybe somebody gets a little loose and I can come around these first couple corners and be in like 5th or 6th place. But I don't know what happens right here. Somebody tried to win the race in the first corner, as they always warn you not to do. And we had some karts going around. I think P1 spun around. Actually, he was really the only one that actually spun. I went on, initially. I tried to go around the outside and I got out into the wet grass, which did not do well for me. And then this is Tom's camera. You're going to see Tom right here. You couldn't see it on my camera, but Tom basically, he goes off into the grass to dodge the person sitting in the wrong direction, and he runs right in the side of me. So as you can see, they're spinning around. They're already facing backwards. I went around. As soon as I touched that grass, it was a game over for me. Then boom, Tom nails me right in the side. He spins around oddly, and he's sitting on this grate. Now, he did get to roll up a little bit, and he ends up getting stuck on the berm right here. The P1 guy, he takes off. He didn't touch anybody, so he was actually still relatively fast. He was able to drive back up through the crowd. But Tom, man, he was done. That just screwed his whole race right there. I think he did bend a tie rod or something like that when he hit me. Now, when he hit me, it just kind of, I think my axle might have moved just a teeny bit for some reason. Either me hitting the fence or me, something, I don't know. My brake was rubbing it a little bit at the end of the race. But I'm hot right now, man. I am not happy. I come on the track. My tires are all wet. We got these guys right here. They had a little mishap in this corner. I have to drive through the puddle. Come down here. The guy in P1, he is actually... I didn't realize he got going again, and he's going to get under me right here. So then I get stuck out here in this wet stuff, and I do about a 90-degree spin right here, which does not help. So I think the only person left behind me is Tom, and I'm in second. Yeah, you can see Tom coming in on the camera right there. I'm in second to last place, and Tom is in last place. So I am not happy. As you can see, a ton of carts went past me while I was driving around in the grass over there, coming off the first corner. But as I'm driving through here, I'm realizing I don't think my cart's too messed up. So I couldn't really tell it was dragging on the brake was dragging that much with my axle moving just a little bit. Generally, when that happens, your rotor doesn't move, and so your rotor kind of slides up onto your brake pads, and it only needs to move sometimes 0.5 millimeter, which I think is about all it moved, and you're going to get a little bit of brake drag. Now, it's usually not catastrophic, but especially when you don't have optimal conditions, you're not going to notice it a ton. But I'm trying to bust on back up through the crowd. As you can see, there are not a lot of karts in front of me just yet, but after I knock out about 1 or 2 laps and I get a good feel for how grippy the track is, I get pretty hell-bent for leather, as Judas Priest would say. And I'm trying to knock some karts down up here. I think I've got the 99 right in front of me, and my buddy Scott up there in the 13. If I wasn't buddies with him, he'd be my arch nemesis. I'm around him a lot on the track. When he got caught up in a little mishap. I think you see it right after my mishap, and I think he might have also bent something on his cart, something on the front end. So I think it might have been a kingpin, so it wasn't steering very well for him. But he was going to try to leg it out. He actually is doing pretty good in the points, so he needed to try to salvage what he could get with points, so he stayed in the race. He didn't pull off. But as you can see, I'm going pretty decent. Now the 99, I get around him right here, but he ducks under me because I kind of went a little wider than I wanted to get under him. I stayed in the gas a little deeper, and he gets back under me. But I'm able to immediately rebound right here and get back under him, and set my sights on catching up with Scott up there. And again, I think poor Tom, he's driving around behind me. He is able to knock off a couple of carts, but he was starting right smack in the middle. He could have had the opportunity to finish a bit better. Now it's kind of it's not necessarily funny, but the guys that were battling it out for first and second for the whole race, I think on the last lap, I don't know what happened, but both of them go off the track, and it greatly impacts their finishes. I actually almost catch the guy, one of them, either who was in first or second, I don't know which place, but I think he only finished 1 or 2 positions in front of me. But all in all, we're starting to wind down on the video. I'm going to pass a few people, but I think the best I get up to is about 15th place, I think. 15th or 16th, something like that. And I think there was 25 of us. So basically, after getting knocked all the way back to 24th or 25th or whatever it was, I was able to, get back past a few people. Again, you can be aggressive, but it's kind of tough to be aggressive because you don't really know if your tires are going to stick like you want them to. And if they don't, you're just going to sail off and smack into somebody else, which I didn't. I don't want to bust up anybody's stuff, nor my stuff. But I was able to get past Scott right there. I got Harris in my sights up here. He was actually in the first video I put out with the practice and the pre-final. But I think he actually might have got him and the 99 got a little bit together back there. Now off on the side right there in that orange helmet, that's my buddy Otto. I pitted with him all year. I think 2 laps in, his chain popped, so not a good weekend for him there. He ends up finishing like second to last or something, or maybe even last with the chain popping off. because I think everybody else was able to continue. I don't think there were very many DNFs in this race, although there were people going off track. Just nothing catastrophic. Everybody was able to get back on for the most part. But I've got the 4 in my sights now. He's doing pretty good. He was around me on the pre-final video. You saw him. He's out there racing one of the Racing for Vets karts. I think I'm going to be able to try to set up this corner here so I get a good run off this spot right here. And I think that is where the 2 leaders went off right there. It's a little bit later in the race, but it does happen. But I'm getting to wind up, and as you can hear the audio, I'm able to, I'm hitting the rev limiter, maybe not quite where I used to, but I'm hitting it. I think all in all, I was probably about 2 to 3 seconds slower than my, optimal drive time, lap times. And this will be the last person I pass, the 57. After this, it's just probably about 5 or 6 laps of driving around by myself out there. As you can see, there is nobody really in close proximity to me in the front, so I just cut her on through, and we'll see about how fast I can go in the last lap. Got 1 lap to go. As you can see, it is starting to sprinkle again. So what was fun about this is my son was racing he had 1 race cushion between my race and his race. And he was sitting over there with slicks on his kart, so I know that I need to get this race done, get through the scales, and go over there and swap wheels from my son so he can get out there and race on the reins, on the wet condition tires. What was funny is we just used the same set because we had that race in between us. We just swapped them back and forth. But I was able to get the tires on for him. He did all right. He went off track. It was his first actual real race. Unfortunately, it rained on his first race, but he thought he was going to catch up to the guy in front of him, and I think he went off track back here somewhere. So we didn't see him for about 2 laps, but he was able to push the cart back on. He didn't bust it up, and he came across the finish line. No DNF, but he was down a lap or 2. But he had a good time. So anyways, we're coming around to the finish line. That's going to wrap it up. This was my last race of the season. I might still put out a couple videos because I know I skipped a few, but they'll probably be from back in the summer at some point in time. So that's it. Hope everybody had a good 2023 race season, and we'll see you next year.